Okay, warrior sages, I have a very special guest today, and this is my personal teacher, mentor. I goes beyond even what I can ever say. You've been an uncle, a father to my own son, Shaman. This is my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master, Marcus Soares. Welcome, Marcus, to be in our Warrior Sage Circle today. I'm very honored to have you here.
My pleasure to be here with you guys.
So, Warrior Sages, I've been studying with Marcus now for well over a decade. And I need to let you know that what this man has shared with me and what he's taught me, not just in the physical aspects of martial arts, this is my 40th year in martial arts, but 10 years into jiu-jitsu. What I have learned from this man is incredible. The physicality of jiu-jitsu is profound, and Marcus will share more. But what I can say is the family that we have, the camaraderie, the loyalty that we have amongst us is so profound. It's kept myself, my son, strong, centered. We have a place that we can go and share and be, and we have brothers and sisters that are here for a lifetime. So more than just the jiu-jitsu, the family that you've created, Marcus, has been profound for our own family. So thank you. And I welcome all you warrior sages to listen with deep ears and openness to the wisdom this man has to share today. So Marcus, please share with us the beginning. What is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a martial arts that we use for self-defense, right? It's not to attack people. It's to defend yourself in case you need, right? And the man is afraid about what they don't know, right? You see, for example, a kid go have a relationship for the first time. He's scared because he never been in that position there, right? So the performance cannot be good because he don't know what to expect. And when becoming in terms of fights, in aggression, right? So you need to know what the opponent gonna bring to you. If you know what to expect, so you're gonna be calm, you can dominate the opponent, and it's your decision if you wanna hurt him or not. That's the good option Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gives it to you. Dominate the opponent without hurt him, right? So in my opinion, that's what's important to Jiu-Jitsu, right?
So Marcus, what makes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, can you tell us a little bit of what makes it unique compared to other martial arts that people might not realize? And maybe some of its origins, where it came from.
Okay, so this is statistics, not I'm saying, right? So about 95% of the fights end up on the floor. Somebody lose the balance to fall, and the fight have to keep it going, right? So a real fighter fights stand up on the ground, under the water, whatever the fight goes, right? So this is my opinion. So, and Jiu-Jitsu is develop these amazing techniques on the ground. So even if you fall on the bottom, you can survive, right? So we have the guard, we have many techniques that we use from the guard for submission or switch position with the attacker, right? So, and be on the top is always the priority. That's what I tell my students, because when I'm on the top, I have the gravity helping me, right? People on the bottom have to do extra work, sometimes just to breathe, when the guy on the top know how to use the pressure, the weight of his body, right? So change thing. You, my student, you see people's face when I demonstrate a technique, right? So how uncomfortable they feel, right? So, and I'm trying to do it gentle. I just showing that the technique well applied gonna be good to put the other person calm, right? So
It's interesting about jiu-jitsu, me coming from a kung fu background for many years, is that there's we don't really focus on punching or kicking or using strikes, but we can take people's punches and kicks, trap them. We can manipulate their arms. We can put them into positions where their arms can be broken, their legs can be broken using holds, submissions, and locks rather than kicks and punches. Can you share why did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu go more into that rather than kicking and punching?
Well, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was developed by 2,500 years ago by the monks of the monastery in India, because they used to go collect the food to bring to the sick people, old people in the monasteries, right? And the thieves don't like to work, right? So wait for them to pass and rob all the food. And they were very knowledgeable about the anatomy of the human body, and they decided to develop something just to protect themselves from the thieves and don't let the guys rob the food of the poor people waiting, right? So
Yes.
it started like this. From there, everything expanded, right? So went to China and finally arrived in Japan and became the martial arts of the samurais that used to protect the emperor. And Japanese have this wild fighting spirit, very strong, right? So they put the fight more violent, right? And when Japan opened the ports at the end of the 1800s, right? So what the Japanese people, they knew about the superiority of jiu-jitsu for combat, and Japanese always involved in wars and things like that. They divide jiu-jitsu in different martial arts because, how I said, in Japan became violent, they put the part of the strikes, right? For karate, takedowns and holds on the ground for judo, torsion of the joints for aikido, and the art of manipulate the sword to another art, right? So, and the fight on the ground. What is the fight on the ground? They hide the fight on the ground. Was the worst crime you could commit in Japan, teach fight on the ground to Occidental people, right? So they try to hide, but this guy that participate of this transition, Count Koma, Mitsuo Maeda, his name, right? So he went to Brazil and to show his gratitude for one of the graces that was helping him with the Japanese immigration to Brazil, he decided to teach jiu-jitsu to his oldest son. And this person was Carlos Gracie, the father of my teacher, Carlson Gracie, right? So, and he fell in love, started to study and teach to his brothers, you know, and today became, I believe, is the biggest family in martial arts on the planet, right? So they have hundreds of people. Only Carlos Gracie, this one that learned from Count Koma, he had 21 kids. Imagine. Have more kids and have more kids. So only the Gracie black belts, we have over 100, right? So the thing, right, grow very fast. And nowadays, Jiu-Jitsu proved that is superior to other martial arts, right? And people is interested to learn all over the world. Everywhere you go now, have a Jiu-Jitsu school, have a Brazilian guy teaching. Now many other nationality people also got black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, right? So, but when the thing grow so fast and without control, you lose the quality a little bit, right? We have one example here in Vancouver. We have a Japanese restaurant here called Tojo. is one of the best and most expensive here, right? The people from Hollywood used to come do movies here, invite the owner to open one in LA. Said, we pay everything for you, you know, you don't want to have any expense there, just come and do for us. And he said, oh, I can do it because I only can have one place because I buy the fish, I cut the fish. So these things, right, if you let other people do, you lose the real essence of whatever you're gonna do, right? So you know the right way to do is very important, you know? So, and with the growth of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now and change of rules and everything, Jiu-Jitsu had a big change, you know, and only people from my generation or older than me, they can, with accuracy, tell what's better, what's not better, because we saw the whole thing, the development, right? Yes. So people have no clue how we used to fight before. They can't compare, right? So
and what you've showed us is extremely practical, pragmatic, intense, old school jujitsu. The new schools of jiu-jitsu have morphed more into sport orientation, which is great. It's awesome. But the techniques in sport, they might look really awesome and you can win in a sports situation, being on the ground underneath, but they have less applicability in real life situations. But what you've taught us and continue to teach us is the purity of jiu-jitsu, that it can work on the street, it can work in tournaments, it can work in real life situations.
Mixed martial arts, anything, right?
That's
and
awesome.
That's what I have all my gratitude to my teacher, you know, because that's the first thing I believe any student have to learn is to have gratitude and loyalty, right? Absolutely. To his team, to his family, and, you know, and don't forget where he's coming from, right? Many people nowadays wanna do things that lack respect, in my opinion. So I don't agree with that. But I'm always thankful to my teacher, Carlson Grace. You know, without him, I wouldn't be here in Canada. You guys maybe wouldn't know Jiu-Jitsu, you know. So, but anyway, in my opinion, the more important aspect for people training Jiu-Jitsu is not only to learn the techniques and perform well in tournaments, nothing like that, right? So it's the self-confidence given to you, the discipline, you know. I also have other degrees in physical education, right? Because when I decided to be a teacher, I said, look, I have to study because you know the techniques is one thing, but you understand deep the technique to show the details for your student, you need to study to perform well, right? So some people you see are very good athletes, they perform awesome, but if you ask the guy to demonstrate and ask the reason why he's doing this, he have no clue. The guy sometimes have the ability, talent to do something, but they don't have the knowledge to explain and pass to other people, right? Because if people hide or don't know how to explain, the day that they die, the art die. So it's important to know very well to make your students understand, because one day, like my teacher is gone, I'm going to be gone too. And it would be wonderful. We preserve the Carson Grace style, you know, and people keep teaching. So that's what I think, you know. And I also, not only I have this degree in physical education, before that I had a degree in economics too. And I could be working this area, making way more money, right? So then I do jiu-jitsu, but I think so is important in life. You do what you feel love, right? You do something you don't feel love, you don't do very well, right? And second, if I would be work with economics, taking care of the money of people, I would be taking things away from people. In Jiu-Jitsu, I can give things away to people, right?
Yes.
And especially the parents of my kids training with me, they don't even know how to thank me. The changes I make on his kids, you know? So the happiness this brings to me, any money on the planet would buy that, you know? So
That's what I've always admired about you, Marcus, is the purity of your intention and your willingness to give fully the deepest secrets, the deepest understandings without any holdback. Like you don't hold anything back. Whenever any of us have any questions of you, it's you give freely and you treat us like family. You don't treat us like students. And what I've really learned a lot from you as a master, as a teacher, as a guide, is the care that you bring in. You're not just a distant teacher. You really care, and not only about our martial arts, but you care that we're living a good life and that we're representing the values and the principles. So thank you for that. Marcus, you were talking about Carlson Gracie. I'd love if you can go back in history and share, how did you get involved, and share a little bit about your history and how you came into jiu-jitsu, and please.
well, everybody has someone in life that mark important things on you, right? Not always is your dad or your mom, you know, but I have someone in my life, my godfather, my uncle. He was married with the sister of my mom, right? And he loved sports, and I was very close to him. Because I used to spend a lot of time with my godmother, you know. So he teach me how to read, how to swim, how started the first movement is in judo, you know. And one day he was friend with Carlson Gracie because he was a black belt in judo and jiu-jitsu also. He introduced me to Carlson Gracie, took me there to visit the school, and I did my first training and fall in love right away. You know, this was in 1970. I was 13 years old, right? So I'm going now next month to 51 years doing jiu-jitsu. So it's a long time, right? So anyway, but I started to train there, and I have a good empathy, not only with the sport, but with the gym, with people there, and especially with Carlson Gracie, you know, and his brother, Rocian, that was my first teacher. Because when I started jiu-jitsu, you could not go to the room to start to learn and roll with people, nothing like that. You have to go to a private classes to learn the whole self-defense program, right? And after that, when you learn everything, you have some knowledge about how to defend yourself, it's some basic stuff. You go to the other room and start to learn and train with people, right? And I did this very fast. In 3 weeks, I was doing 3 classes per week, you know, so was in 9 classes. I learned the whole program. It was 36 techniques, if I'm not wrong, you know. And after that, they throw me with the lions, right? Because I was the only kid there training to the adults, right?
Yes.
But I could hang with them. Of course, I didn't have a specific conditioning for jiu-jitsu because it's something you can put an Olympic athlete to train jiu-jitsu. He's going to get tired. He's going to feel, you know, that work different muscles, right? So, but anyway, I did it like almost a professional. I started when I was 11 years old to lift weights. So I was very, very strong, stronger even than the adults there, right? So for me, I could hang. I didn't let them to punish me too much. And I was a fast learner, right? So after 6 months, only the guys really good, brown belts or higher, they could still beat me, right? Not so easy anymore, but they still could beat me, you know. But after, I believe, 1.5 years, right? I start to give trouble even to the guys higher belts. So he's, everybody born with talent. I saw people playing instruments, right? They never had a class. The guy get the guitar, the drum, whatever, trumpet, and start to play without any knowledge. They don't even know the names of the notes, right? But they can perform, right? So, and sometimes it's funny because people come to the gym and said, "Oh, how long are you gonna get to my belt?" How are you gonna know, my friend? Even if I had a crystal ball, I couldn't tell this to the guy, right? So the talent, the motivation, the frequency in the classes, everything counts. It's important to know. So nobody can tell. But one thing I can tell, if the guy comes to the first class, even if he loses to everybody, I can tell if the guy gonna have a future or not, right? Because I have one example here. This was even funny. Dennis Kang was my student. He was a professional fighter. He became one of the 3 best in the world in his weight category at one point when he was fighting Pride, right? So anyway, he came to train with me June 1st in 1997 when I arrived in Canada. But I started my classes 2 months before. And in 2 months, some of my top students, they learned really fast, they became good, And the same day that Dennis came to the class, this was June 1st, 1997, I had one Brazilian, was the first Brazilian I met in Canada. And I was, when they start to spar at the end of the class, I was seated with the dad of the student, and I told him, I said, "Oh, do you see this guy here? He's losing to my best student here, but this guy, I'm gonna tell you, he's gonna be my best student." And the guy started to laugh, didn't believe, Man, after 1 year, he started to perform in local martial arts here, mixed martial arts, right? Vale Tudos, and started to perform very well. Even his first fights, he fought against the actual, at that time, champion of the UFC, Maurice Smith. He beat Mark Coleman with one kick on the head, right? And Dennis was going to fight with his student. And he was a little bit worried because he said, "Oh, the guy is student of the champion of the UFC." I said, "My friend, but you are indirect student of Carlson Gracie." They should be worried, not you. And to make the story short, the fight lasts only 14 seconds and then is won, right?
You're very humble, Marcus. I mean, you always defer. This is something in the martial arts that is there and that I've seen you express. You in a humble way. You never talk about you so much. You always talk about your mentors and teachers. Carlson Gracie being the master, grand master. Can you share about this for those who are not involved in martial arts? This relationship, this very spiritual and noble and rich relationship between teacher and student. Can you tell what is the best way for us to have that relationship? I'd love to know more about that. Your experience of that.
Well, like my teacher, I'm a very simple person, right? So I don't force people, call me this, call me that, call me master, sensei, or nothing like that. My name is Marcos Vinicius de Macedo Soares. You call me Marcos Vinicius, like they call me in Brazil, or Marquinhos, or Marcos Soares, doesn't matter, right? So I don't put too much formalities because the first thing I offer to my students is my friendship, Without friendship, we cannot go anywhere. With friendship, you learn respect, you learn loyalty, you learn many other things important in martial arts, right? So that's what I think. So I make the environment be very casual in my classes, and people feel comfortable like they are at home, right? So I go to the gym? No, I go to my second home, see my family, that's what's important, And I try to teach to the students too, because to be good, what you need to be a good jiu-jitsu? You need good instruction, and you need good training partners to practice what you learn and to learn to defend what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So only with a lot of good partners, you're going to improve, right? And if the student is a smart guy, he's going to follow what I tell them to do. They have to help the beginners that don't know nothing, because one of these beginners can be one guy with very good talent, learning fast, and very in short time, he's going to be another good training partner for him. Because I don't see this cool, somebody come to the school and the guy with more experience go there and kick the ass of the beginner. It's not cool, and I don't let this happen in my school, right? Me and my brother, we used to be the sheriff at the Custom Grace School in Brazil. Everybody higher belts go very hard with a beginner. We just wait the training finish and we give a lesson to the guy, right? So
Yes.
I don't like that,
You
But
know,
I think so. The respect comes from all of this, from
yes.
friendship, So
Yeah. This is what's been really remarkable. When I came from a very formal kung fu system where you refer to each other as master, there's very formal, much more formal aspects. And then when I started with you years back, I was like, where's the formality? Where's the respect? And I didn't realize I thought we're supposed to respect each other. Then as I started developing a relationship in the training, I realized the respect wasn't from the outside of these formal ideas. It came from actually rolling and then having true respect with each
exactly.
other, because it wasn't a forced or a tradition on side. It came from, this guy could kill you, but he didn't, and he was teaching you along the way. So you feel vice versa. When you're training and you're helping someone else come up, you could harm them, but you don't. You help them come up. And so that's what I really love about our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu family, is that the higher ranks are aiming to help build up the lower ranks. And then when they start coming up, they help build each other up. This mutuality of, hey, we're all in this together. Let's raise each other up. You have taught us that. And to me, that's true respect. It's not a false respect. It's not a learned respect. It's from the soul, from the heart.
That's the way it is, So, but I'm very glad because we have a very strong family here, and that when I have a chance, I'm always traveling to see my representative schools, meet new people, always do events at the gym to celebrate somebody's birthday or to watch a UFC together and things like that, right? So very important.
Marcus, tell us, well, actually, before I go into there, I want to talk about my son, Shaman. And Shaman started as a youngster. He's now, a young man. He's just received his purple belt from you, which is an incredible level of dedication over the years. And I've seen, Shaman is just one example of a young kid who was a lot of energy and but not much focus. And how he is now, he's like a high level martial artist. He has such deep respect for others. He's not arrogant in any way with other people. And I've seen this with so many other youngsters who have come up and have been hand taught by you. Please share with us, what is the power, the value of jiu-jitsu for our youth of today? There are a lot of lost youth. They don't have much real purpose of life, but you give them that. Can you share more about that?
Well, I think so. This is natural, wherever you go to learn something, in my opinion, you have to be comfortable there, right? So that's what I tell to the parents of my kids here. Look, the students come here, I don't wanna expect nothing from him. I want to make him to feel happy here and wanna come back every single time, right? So after they start to feel comfortable there, I start to teach the techniques, but in a way that I'm playing with them, right?
Yes.
For example, I become a horse, they're going to mount the horse,
Yes.
and the horse is going to try to throw him away. So they learn to stabilize, they take someone's back, and keep going like that, right? So if you know how to get the attention of the kids, they're going to learn. Because if you go military style, oh, do this, do that, now it's this, parara, they don't going to like, right? So you need to have the talent to make the person be interested, right? And after they learn the techniques, the next step is make they lose the fear. I put a little one to fight with the big one. Usually, the kids see a big one, they shake. But because they learn the techniques, they feel confident, they can fight. And they don't care if they win or if they lose, right? So they are ready, they stand up and keep going, right? So he knows that with the knowledge they get from jiu-jitsu, they can go to a fight and defend themselves and perform and sometimes dominate the opponent, Of course, it's a big weight difference, So the kids, the strength make big difference in this age, right? For example, one is 7, the other one is 10. But if the 10 is not very well coordinated and the 7 have a good knowledge, he can dominate the 10 years old.
Absolutely.
So you never know what's going to happen, right? Because every person is one person. Nobody's the same, right?
Marcus, there's the technical side of jujitsu. For those of you who don't know, it's like a whole body chess game at a very high pace. It's very intense. It's like chess. One person, they try something on you, you can counter it, counter them, they counter that, you can counter them. That's the physical dimension. But then there's the emotional, spiritual dimension of jujitsu. And one of the main things that you've taught me and that I've seen is you don't demand loyalty. Like you don't say you need to be loyal to me. You don't, from your ego, put yourself out that, hey, you need, but it's natural in martial arts. We cultivate loyalty to our teachers, loyalty to our mentors, loyalty to our school. And this value of loyalty is diminishing, I see in the world. People don't have the same level of respect or loyalty to their lineages, to those who have served them. Can you share about the value of loyalty in this day and age, why we need loyalty, why that's important?
Well, I believe everything starts with you develop your gratitude, right? So always in my class, I talk about Carson Grace, So where I came from. So this thing I believe we can never forget, right? And when people see this and they have the trust when I teach them something, because I'm very confident what I teach, because the techniques I teach people, I put in the laboratory, right? It's like a vaccine that take years to see if you're going to give side effects or not. When I give my techniques, they are tested already, and they are good, how I said before, for sport jiu-jitsu, for fight on the street, for MMA, for whatever situation you come from, right? So this, I believe, make the students be thankful with the changes that jiu-jitsu give it to them, right? And I don't know, I think so the best way is to show gratitude and loyalty, because when you have gratitude, I believe the loyalty comes naturally.
Yes.
Right? Because in my opinion, life is like that. You have to respect, right? Respect something that, once again, I'm 64 years old. I can compare the generations I went through. And I can say, right, because I know my generation and the actual generation, the kids are losing the respect. And in jiu-jitsu, they learn the respect, because if they try to fool around and they get one knee on the belly, my friend, and try to breathe and the air don't go through, they understand what respect is about, right? But I'm not here to talk about generations, but you can see, I can see, because, nobody, no kid, if your parents say something to you, you talk back. Now they talk back and they want to give you order to your parents. Give me a break. I can't stand this, And I don't know, and the society changed, giving some freedom that, in my opinion, is wrong to the kid, because they started to think the life have no limits, right? And we have limits in life. You cannot go to your job and say whatever you want to your boss. You're going to be fired right away, my friend. Jiu-jitsu prepare you for life, not only to fight. Fight is easy, The confidence you get there, you're going to have a job interview, you look at the guy in the eye and talk the same, with the same power to him, right?
Exactly.
You don't
the
feel this big here and the guy is this big here, right? So,
the children we see and the youth and all the ones coming up, by training jiu-jitsu, that it becomes the opposite. If you're gregarious and ego-filled and a bit bullyish in a way, it calms you, makes you more of a centered, peaceful person. If you're the opposite, if you are more timid, you're more shy, you're more withdrawn, you're nervous, it lifts your confidence up. It's a very balancing art.
Yes. Give the adjustments to everybody, right? So
Yes.
to be more or to be less, right?
That's what I really love about it. Marcus, tell us a little bit more about also I wanted to speak about women in martial arts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We've seen now more and more women being attracted by this. There's women in our school, high-level practitioners, who could kick my ass like half the size of me. And a lot of women don't realize that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and people realize that it's designed to work against bigger opponents, and that you don't have to be the same size. You don't have to be the same strength. What's the value of Jiu-Jitsu for women who are brand new, maybe nervous? Is this for me? Can you share about that, please?
Well, it's always stated before, right? So humans are afraid about what they don't know. If somebody blind you and ask you to walk, you're going to be afraid to walk because you don't know if the next step you're going to step in a hole and fall, right? So you need to see things. And when you train jiu-jitsu and you know what to expect from one aggressor, you don't feel nervous, don't feel panic, because the panic is what makes you tired and make your brain stop to work, right? So when you calm, you can think about how you're going to solve the problem, how you're going to get out of the bad situation, right? So be calm in the fight is something very important. You only can be calm when you know the techniques. And about these problems about strength, right? So jiu-jitsu is something based in leverage, right? So it's physics, right? So if I go to one position that I can feel that I have been dominated there, of course I'm going to try to move away or to the right or to the left to create a new leverage for me to beat the leverage of the opponent, right? So that's, you remember that, right? When the students come to the school, I give a big emphasis. They learn how to move the hip on the ground, because when you move, right, you see, for example, one anaconda, right? So another animals can come to try to, because the snake is long, but it's skinny, not very big, right? So the other animals sometimes bigger, And when hold there, she started to move and wrap the body around the body of the other animal, and the animal cannot move, right? So you see, if you want to learn how to fight, sometimes I play with the students and I say a joke, right? So go watch the Discovery Channel, how the lion hunts. You know, do you see the lion jump to guard? You don't see that, my friend. Usually the animal is on the top win the fight, right? So, of course, it's like jiu-jitsu. You have to take it down, pass the guard, and you go for the submission, right? So, but that's it. Women can learn it because everything's leverage, you know. You can block things with other parts of your body that if you don't have the knowledge, you don't want to use it because you don't know you could use something like that.
Yes.
For example, if they are on the bottom, right, somebody in her guard, because this is the typical position that men attack women, right, and do the rape choke, for example. If she know she moving the hip and blocking the hip of the opponent with her feet, she can control the distance, you know, and the
Yes.
guy cannot do much against them. From there, I can kick the face or go to a triangle choke or arm lock if they try to extend the arm. So they can do many things, you know. So the training gives this empowerment to the ladies, and I believe they feel more comfortable if somebody attack them. They don't gonna panic and can solve the problem, you know.
Thank you. Marcus, can you share with us, you know, you've been at this now 51 years studying and learning and teaching. This is an incredible achievement. Thank you. Regarding um, dedication, you know, in this day and age, to be dedicated to some practice, so many distractions in life. Can you give us some wisdom on how to stay dedicated to any path, any martial art, any path?
Well, you're gonna be dedicated because in jiu-jitsu, right away, you're gonna learn to be humble. More you learn, more you're gonna realize that you have more things to learn, right? So I'm studying, I'm studying this 51 years, and I'm still studying because I know many other things. How many times you came to the class and I show a new technique for you, something that I see.
Every single time.
Sometimes I even dream with something when I'm sleeping, you know, about one position there and develop a new technique. So these have no end, you know. So more you study and you practice, you get fascinated with the art because you know still have a lot to come, you know, and make you humble. That's, in my opinion, is something very important. We always be humble because always have someone stronger or more technical than you know. So
Always.
that's the truth, right?
Marcus, what is a true warrior? What does a true warrior mean to you?
A true warrior, in my opinion, the true warrior is somebody have a big heart and know how to give to people, not how to take from people, right? So this, for me, is something very important in life, you know, and I try to say this to my students, my family, my friends, you know. So true order is not one guy go beat everybody, you know. Sometimes this can be a bully, not a warrior, right? So warrior is the person that always gives something and special good advice to people, you know. So in my school, I always try to give you good advice about anything, you know, they come talk to me because sometimes we see things different, you know, and only when you have experience in life, and experience is something that money cannot buy. You only get experience with age, right? You don't plant one tree today and want the fruit the next day. You have to wait till the tree grow and the fruit's gonna come, right? So in life is the same, you know. And people should be, in my opinion, nowadays more patient because many people have no patience, you know, and listen to people.
Yes.
I'm not saying you're gonna listen to follow, right? Because when I talk to people, I don't give orders to people. I give opinion so he can think about and analyze his opinion with my opinions to make a mix and see what's better for him. Because sometimes what's better for him is not good for me, right? So you never know. But the important, you show that you care about people and you give your time to people, because our time is something that we have the most valuable, right? So what are you gonna do with your time? You have to do something good, right? Not gonna do something bad, right? So time is very important, you know, to give time to your friends, to your family, time to sleep, time to eat. Time is everything. You have to respect the time and spend the time in a proper way.
Thank you. This has been really, really powerful, Marcus. One last thing I'd like to ask you to complete today is, you know, the whole world is going through challenges, and you have shared with me, taught with me. I've seen you deal with challenges with COVID and the business and, you know, closing and this and that, but you've always persevered with this very powerful attitude. Can you share with our warrior sages here, you know, from your experience, how to face the challenges that we have, the uncertainty in this day and life?
Well, the courage sometimes, right, is not a courage to fight something, right? So courage for me is when you have the strength to be calm when you have problems in your life, right? So because how I said before, if you're not calm, you cannot use your brain perfectly to find solutions to finish the problem, right? So I don't know, I think so everybody go about your self-control and be calm in life, right? So when all these problems come, I stay calm, because if I stay mad, if I stay nervous, if I punch the wall, I head butt the table, you know, don't gonna help me to fix the problem, right? So be calm is very important. And I'm never afraid when this kind of situation, for example, we have this COVID now, right? So I myself, my only work is jiu-jitsu, you know, teach jiu-jitsu, travel to do seminars, do tournaments, everything is related to jiu-jitsu, right? So, but I had to close the school for 3 months, right? Orders from the government. What are you gonna do? You have to respect the orders and try to find a way, you know? So, and once again, even when they prohibit me to go do my job, because my job is to go to the gym and entertain the students there and teach the students, you know, and, you know, show my friendship. And they didn't allow to do that. What did I do? I went every single day with my son, because you're not even supposed to be with somebody else. And I gave it to people. I gave it. Even the guys are not my students, they could come, make any questions they want, show the techniques with the details, and did this every single day of the week, you
And you
know?
transmitted it online for the world to see lessons.
Exactly. And still the techniques are in my web page. Somebody want to see something, they can go there. I show, I don't know, but maybe 100 techniques, you know? So there's a lot of material there, and good material, you know? Some material that people have no clue about that technique, about how to perform that way, the technique, right? So that's it, man. But I think so, that's what's important. You always, even when you have a hard time, stay calm and find a way to do what you have to do. I'm not here to talk about the virus, diseases, because who am I? You see for example, two doctors, PhD from the best universities on the planet, they have exactly opposite thinking about a situation, about to wear a mask, about the vaccine, about this medication, about this, about that. Who are you going to trust? Dr. A or Dr. B? Right? So you don't know. I think so. We shouldn't even give it too much opinion because we are not doctors, right? Even if the doctors, they don't agree to each other. So it's hard to, But anyway, life like that. I myself, I like the challenges in life, Without challenge, your creativity doesn't work, right? So if everything goes perfect in your life, you don't have to use your brain to find a solution for night. This is bad, my friends. If you don't use your brain, use your muscles, you get rusty. No, life is is not very good, in my opinion.
Marcus, you've shared such wisdom today. And, friends, warrior sages, this is just scratching the surface of what this amazing man has shared and transmitted and taught myself, my family, and our whole Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu family here in Canada. Please, we have an open welcome for any of you who are visiting the Vancouver area. Please let me know, and I'll invite you to a class with Marcus, and you can experience this firsthand yourself. Marcus, I'm so grateful for you with your years of dedication. I'm grateful for you being such a really good elder friend and elder brother and mentor and teacher. All my love and gratitude, Marcus. Any last words to share with our Warrior Sage family?
No, it was a pleasure to be here with you and share my experience in life in Jiu-Jitsu with you guys. And we'd like to welcome everybody if you would like one day to visit the school. In Vancouver, we have schools in downtown. We have in Langley, have in Maple Ridge, and I have other representatives all over the country too. In Ontario, I have many there, in Saskatoon, South Africa, Holland, Brazil. So the family is big, spread all over the world, and it's going to be a pleasure to have you guys make a visit. Any question, you guys can go to marcossoares.com, have the information about the school, about myself, my biography, and everything. And my message to people is be calm and try to be your best, always to help other people, because nothing, in my opinion, brings more happiness to you than you help someone succeed in life and, and be happy also. Let's go try everybody be happy.
Thank you, Marcus. All my love and gratitude. And I'll see you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. And thank you.
Thank you, Warrior Sages. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.